reflecting on your past and using that to fuel the fire, to get angry, to get upset, not at yourself, but at what you're going after. And I think the biggest thing is trying to harness that energy, because I see a lot of people, they have all this abundance of energy and emotion, but they can't figure out how to harness it and channel it to the direction they want to go, right? So you have to figure out how to tap into that energy, that emotion, and then fuel it to launch into the rocket ship of your dreams, of whatever you're going after.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So, hey, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. I am so excited to be with you again. If you've been following some of our content, podcast, you guys know, social media, you guys know I've been out of town for the last about 40 days, spending time on the beach, catamaran, deep sea fishing, having a great time. And so this is my second official recording since coming back. And I'm really excited today to be interviewing. His name is Angelo Christian. Angelo is one of the top producing loan originators in the country. He is dynamic at selling, raising capital. He runs a closed-end private equity fund. And he's helped tens of thousands of people with his coaching, but also with his funding for both residential and commercial deals. He also runs a trade desk and does wealth management and is in mortgage banking. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. And what I love about his story is he's overcome poverty and homelessness and health issues and being, he describes, morbidly obese to having just a life of abundance and wealth and income and happiness. And so we're excited to talk with Angelo Christian today. Angelo, thanks so much for joining me on Accelerated Investor. How you doing?
I'm doing a lot better after that intro.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. Yeah, we like to hype up all of our guests, man. So I appreciate that. So Angelo, I'd love to talk and start with our guests, so our audience can get to know them a little bit better, and have you tell us a little bit more about what you're working on right now, like today, this week, this month. What are you most excited about in your real estate investing and lending businesses?
Well, I mean, I'm happy that the economy is open back up for private lending. That's been shut down for the last 3 months. So in July, we've actually opened up our private lending sector again. We do a lot of private mortgages. You mentioned earlier before the show, bridge financing. So that's somewhat coming back. We do a lot of no documentation type loans. So that's starting to, a lot of investor loans for fix and flip and rehab. So that's something that's coming back. And then, the other thing is that we're really active in the markets right now. As you can see, the NASDAQ is at all-time highs. So we're thinking another 99 type bubbles coming. We've seen Tesla hit, ridiculous $1,400 price on the stock, going up $100 a day at a clip. So we're watching that very carefully. And so those are the biggest things that we're working on right now, is scaling the company. We think that, obviously we're bullish on America, and we think that the lending business is a phenomenal, opportunity, pushing paper, selling mortgages, and helping tens of thousands of people, whether it's a commercial investor such as yourself, or it's a veteran trying to buy a home. Interest rates are at all-time lows. You can get 30-year fixed sub 3%. It's a no-brainer opportunity.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So we're piling to that like crazy to help investors, homeowners. And so, those are the biggest things right now that we're focusing on.
That's great. Tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing in the private lending side of things. As you mentioned, like when COVID hit, it was right around March 16th, give or take. If I have to get maybe the day dialed in, there literally the pricing for those mortgages went through the roof in a day. I talked to some CEOs of some pretty big crowdfunding platforms that said they described it as what happened in 2008 took about 12 to 18 months. In 2020, it took one day, and all that funding sort of disappeared because the secondary market was no longer buying that paper. A lot of that's been frozen for the last 3 months. So I'm interested to hear your take on kind of where the market is now. What are you seeing right now? And what do you think is going to happen over the next 90 days?
Yeah. So what's happened now is that, I would say we're about 60% recovered on the residential side, and probably on the commercial side, probably about 30% recovered from prior to COVID. Commercial has been slower because there's not really any government-backed sponsoring except for the SBA to kind of cover those type of loans. So there's still a lot of concern on, what I'm referring to commercial retail, of what's the future of that. But on the residential side, that has somewhat emerged. The difference has been there's been about 150 basis point adjustments to the rates to cover that investor risk. So in other words, let's say an investor wanted to do a fix and flip in February 2020, they could have got a 7% rate. Now they're going to pay about 8.5%. There's a risk adjustment to that loan. There's also an LTV haircut because there's still some concern. There are also some interest reserve built into the loan, so investors may have to impound 6 to 12 months of interest payments, like you mentioned Fannie Mae earlier. They're having a lot of investors impound 6 to 12 months of interest payments to do those loans, and the LTVs have been reduced. So we are lending, whether it's a Fannie Freddie deal or it's a private hard money deal, but you're going to see those adjustments. Now, I will say that, like on no documentation loan or bank statement loans, those have also come back, where we're seeing the guidelines ease with the investors on Wall Street, like week by week. For example, right when they opened back up in June, it was 30% down, 2 years of bank statements and a 760 FICO score. Now it's 20% down, 680 credit score. And so it's trending in that direction. And they're just watching what's happening with the economy, right? What is happening, with the government? What are they doing? What's happening with the yields? The default rates, what's happening to that? Because, that was a big thing that we were acting as a collector for the last 3 months and really slowed down on originating, and everybody wanted to redo their mortgage. Yeah. Hey, I got COVID, it'll give me a lower rate. And investors don't like that. What happens is, and you mentioned earlier, you talked to some of these big CEOs, what happens is when people stop making their payments on their mortgage, it really hurts the whole world. It hurts everybody. Oh, yeah. Those servicers, those lenders have to cover that gap, right? If those aren't federally insured loans, somebody has to cover that. Companies like mine, we have to cover that gap. If $100 million in loans, if someone's not making those payments on that debt, they're going to come after us to make those payments. Right. The ripple effect is catastrophic. So, but where we're at now is we've gotten, I think, we're dealing with this pandemic, and we understand what it is, and we see what we have somewhat of a control. There's opportunity with the vaccine, and we have a low mortality rate. So the world has come to grips with that. And it looks like the trend is that we're going back, to that direction. So commercial mortgages, like I said, they're still a little dicey. If it's not somehow federally insured, or government sponsored, it seems that, 65% LTV is the magic number if it's retail or some type of commercial. And there's rate adjustments, So, but that's the current lending environment right now.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be changing, like you said, on week to week basis. Bridge financing, which was so popular, guys doing value add apartment deals, even in workforce housing, B class, type of stuff. But you have to remember who's buying that paper, right? It's some institutional investor, it's some family office, it's some pension fund that's ultimately buying that paper. And if they don't know how to price it because they don't know what the collections are going to be. Now we've seen 95 to 98% collections for April, May, and June, no different than December, January, and February. But on the retail sector with or office, totally different scenario. Sometimes I've heard horror stories of 20, 30, 40% collections. So we'll see what happens in that space. But people in my space, value add apartments, people always need a place to live. And there's going to be some adjustments based on COVID. People are learning how to work from home, and they're learning how to shop from home, which is a little bit of trouble potentially for the retail and office sector.
That's right. I mean, for example, this is my office building behind me, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
So there's about 300 occupants in the building right behind me. So this building, and we have the top floor that you see right there.
Mm-hmm.
So when we moved in the beginning of the year, you couldn't even get a spot in there. So it was a waiting list.
Yeah.
You know what the occupancy is today?
Tell me. I don't know if I want to know.
Yes.
Let's say 50. I don't know.
20%.
Wow. Already 20% occupancy.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Think about that. I mean, so what they're talking about doing, I'm in Houston, and what they're talking about is converting a lot of this stuff over to some type of housing people, because they don't know what to do with all this retail.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're vacant just by the trough. I mean, it's and I would imagine, like, for the rest of the country, that there's somewhat of a similar, we're also affected by oil and gas, but, this is the reality of the situation for a lot of this retail stuff. And so there's been a lot of talks with the big developers here in Houston. They got to do something with this retail stuff. And they're looking at converting to some type of housing, some type of government housing, or, so it could be another opportunity for somebody like you or an investor that comes in and, get some type of government stimulus to convert this stuff over to some type of living center. But yeah, I'm with you, man. But I still think in the long term, that we'll emerge and we'll become much better. We'll figure all this stuff out. And I'm optimistic for the future.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. So for our listeners who need funding of any kind, like whether it's residential fix and flip or whether it's commercial Fannie, I mean, they should reach out to you, right? I mean, if they need any kind of funding, reach out to your team.
Absolutely, Josh. So the thing what we specialize in, we do all different types. We do bank loans. So let's say the person wants to they want to buy their own owner-occupied primary residence. We do jumbo loans with as low as 5% down. Ultra low rates, like I said, 30 years as low as 2.8. Or let's say I'm helping a very large investor, for example, in Boca Raton. He's in a $200 million multifamily, tranche of apartment complexes, right? So a lot of ground up construction. So we do, Fannie, Freddie, we do investor lines of credit. A lot of investors, they want to buy 10, 20, 30 value add single family or multifamily. We're still doing bridge financing, and we can do that on a nationwide level. So
great.
It could be hard money. It could be private loans. It could be a bank loan. And so we really, we try to figure out how to do funding for everything where it economically makes sense for our fund and also makes sense for the borrower or the sponsor.
Got it. And should people go to your website, since we're on that? Is it the official AngeloChristian.com, or where should they, if they want to make an inquiry, go there?
They can go there. They can reach out to us, or they can call. We're actually open 7 days a week.
Nice.
So from 9 to 9, they can reach out to us, and they can just call us. We always have a live agent that's available. They can reach out to us, and our direct line is 832-431-6331. They can also call us there too.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll put that stuff in the show notes. So again, official AngeloChristian.com. If you guys want to make a funding inquiry, definitely do that. Angelo, let's back up for a quick minute now that we know kind of what you're working on today. Back up to tell me a little bit more about this kind of adverse environment. I love to hear stories, especially the hard work kind of rising from the ashes. I mean, my father filed for bankruptcy when I was in fourth grade. We was raised with nothing. We lived in a 1,300 square foot ranch with a half finished basement. And I love to hear other stories of people rising from relative obscurity, poverty, and in your case, you describe yourself as morbidly obese. Tell us about that and how has that impacted your drive and determination today? But tell us about your background.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I grew up in a family where my father was blue collar worker. We were essentially in poverty. We went from job to job. We never owned a house. I was always obese. Our whole life was about food. It wasn't about success or goals or going to school or making something of yourself.
Wow.
About what did you eat today? What did you watch on TV? And, and that's really what our life was about. So I didn't really have a guide or someone to look up to, like a role model or a hero. So, we were evicted from every house that we lived in. My father always defaulted on all his obligations, but never really committed to anything. My mother and father, they fought every single day. It was just a disaster, a train wreck. I was the kid at school that got bullied. I got beat up all the time. I actually dropped out of school when I was in the 6th grade because I got tired of being bullied and beaten on because of my weight. It was 400 pounds. And the coaches made fun of me, the kids. And so I couldn't deal with the pressure anymore. So I actually dropped out of school. It was just, I was the one that was voted least likely to do anything with my life, and I really didn't have high expectations. I didn't know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. And but one of my favorite movie growing up was always Rocky. Okay. And I always loved that movie because it showed me the reference point that somebody from nowhere, the underdog, can come and beat Apollo Creed and can become the champ of the world. And it gave me something to believe in. And so I didn't make the connection until later in my life that was the impetus that helped to turn everything around and change my life. But that movie gave me the hope, gave me the inspiration that my past doesn't equal my future, and I can be whatever I want to be. And so if I put in the work and I give it everything I got, and that's how Rocky beat Apollo. He wouldn't back down, he wouldn't give up. And I know it's a fictional movie, but there's a lot of truth in it. And so that led me to everything else, the catalyst for everything else in my life, of studying and learning other people and going to college. But Rocky IV, Rocky I, Rocky II, because that's what the implication of those movies are. So from that, watching those movies, it gave me the inspiration to lose the weight. I dropped over 200 pounds, started exercising, bodybuilding, actually used to do bodybuilding, and go back to school, get my education, and study. And from there, I immersed myself in becoming a student of learning. Before, I couldn't even look at a book. And I ended up reading over, several thousand books, from finance to personal development, from everything, the sciences, and really became a student of studying some of my heroes, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Anthony Robbins, people like that, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, really investing years and years in learning and basically re-engineering my mind to create a new version of myself. You mentioned that at the beginning, the higher version.
Yeah.
And I always believe there's a higher version, a higher calling, and you have to really tap in to find your limitless potential. There's actually a book I'm working on right now to find what that is, so you can find your calling and then cull that out of you and then go to the highest level, right?
Yeah.
Talk about like the iPhone. There's always a new version of the iPhone. There's another version of us that wants to come out too. It wants to go to the next step, and it's our duty, I believe, in life to find out what that is.
Angelo, I'm curious to see, pretty personal question. How much on a daily or a weekly or monthly basis do you think about that other version of yourself, that 400-pound version of yourself? And how much does that still give you motivation on a daily basis to say, like, I want to be something bigger. I want to help more people. I want to help people who were like that. And how much maybe do you feel like you're running from that former version of yourself, and that's been a catalyst for all the things you've accomplished today?
Well, it's actually a really good question. So I would say that because I've habitually been doing this now, that was about 20 years ago when all this started to change, that I've ingrained it in me. But one of the things I think is very powerful that you brought up, Josh, is that you have to bring that consciously. And The Rock talks about this when he goes back to, $7 in the beginning, nothing, and pulling that in the forefront to remember your past and remember that life, because you need to have, that fire in front of you to push you to go through. I mean, you run a large company, I run a large company. Everything that you have to deal with on a daily basis, you have to have a lot of pressure and channel that energy to go over the edge. And so consciously, I do it about once a week.
Yeah.
I need to be doing a lot more because of all the stuff that I got to go through. But consciously I do a lot of transcendental meditation on the weekend. And so
tell me about that. What does that mean exactly? So our audience understands what transcendental meditation.
Yeah, I mean, basically, meditating, in darkness. I have like a cave type setup in my home.
Nice.
And and I will do that for usually a couple hours on Saturday and a couple hours on Sunday, and just go into a deep trance and meditation to foresee the future, reflect on my past. I love Ray Dalio. I don't know if you know who Ray Dalio is. Bridgewater, and he talks about that. Yeah, phenomenal guy and one of my heroes. And one of the things that he talks about, he's big on transcendental meditation, but that pain plus reflection, equals progress. So it helps me to reflect on my weaknesses and on my personal life, my business, my family, and basically to redefine myself every single day. So I think it's important for anyone that's listening to this that they spend time to find out who they are. Know thyself is extremely powerful, one of the most important things. And so, but reflecting on your past and using that to fuel the fire, to get angry, to get upset, not at yourself, but at what you're going after. And I think the biggest thing is trying to harness that energy, because I see a lot of people, they have all this abundance of energy and emotion, but they can't figure out how to harness it and channel it to the direction they want to go, right? So you have to figure out how to tap into that energy, that emotion, and then fuel it to launch into the rocket ship of your dreams, of whatever you're going after. And so, it's okay to get angry and emotional, but use it to fuel you for what you're going after, your dreams, your goals, and ambition, and don't let it disrupt you and bring you down.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine tell me a while ago, it really sticks with me, that food is fuel, right, for the body. And I've been telling people for years that fear is fuel for the mind, right? So food is fuel for the body, taking care of yourself, all the things that are important to have a lot of energy, physical energy, but a lot of the physical energy comes from your mindset. And fear, the fear of the past, can be fuel. It can totally stop you in your tracks, or it can give you fuel to say, I'm never going to go there again. I'm never going to be that again. I don't want to ever do those things. In my case, I don't want to ever be in a family that filed for bankruptcy. In your case, being evicted from an apartment. All that is fuel, and you decide how you use it in your own head. It can be, for a lot of people, put them into depression, being overweight, suicide, or it can be fuel ultimately for the future. It's amazing what the mind can do. So Angelo, tell us a little bit more about, if you were going to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 things here, as you sit here today, an abundance of opportunity, an abundance of wealth, an abundance of a lot of what life has to offer, but you continue to work hard every day at it. And you were to think back to that younger self, what are some things that you would tell that younger self that you've learned through the school of hard knocks and through building businesses and relationships? What are maybe some of the biggest lessons you've learned about yourself that you could pass along to our audience that could help them? What were some things that you would tell your younger former self that say, hey, here's some things that I've learned that I know now that have helped me be the person that I am and that I want to be, and I wish I would have learned these sooner?
Right. Yeah, that's actually very powerful to the audience that's listening. So a few things, actually. I think that one of the things because of, the way that I looked at myself and being bullied and picked on, that I was extremely introverted and shy. So I hid in the dark for, probably about a decade. So I think that biggest thing that I would say on that is the power of relationships and networking. Is I would have done that much sooner. It's not. It is true. It's who you, what you know, but it's also who you know. Get in front of the right people. Get in attention, awareness, brand marketing, building your brand. I should have done that much earlier on. Really focusing on that hardcore, heavy. Getting heavy attention on the company, and then networking. Very aggressive networking. Those are two of the biggest areas that I should have worked. The third thing I would say is that again, invest the time to really find out who you are, and don't follow the trend. Okay, whatever you want to do, whether you want to be a chef, an astronaut, a doctor, don't follow the Instagram stuff. Whoever you are, find out in your soul. Go into a dark room or whatever you need to do to find out who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, like Bill Gates did when he started Microsoft. Don't follow what the guy does with the Lambo. Follow who you are, and you know who you are. Spend the time to find out who you are, and then go after it with 1,000%. Yeah. And don't follow other people's stuff. It's okay to look up as to somebody that you aspire to. Like I looked up to Jeff Bezos, but be your own Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, right.
And I think that those are the three biggest things that I would say. I waited too long to build the company because I was chasing a bunch of stuff when I was a kid.
Right.
So those are the three points, Josh.
My newest and most powerful real estate investing book, The Flip System, is now available. And for a limited time, you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. Using the same proven principles, secrets, and investing strategies I'm sharing in this book, I've been able to personally close over 750 highly profitable real estate deals over the last 15 years, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million of private money, and acquire over 2,000 units of apartments. Get my newest book now for free for a limited time at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast. Your book, The 10 Habits of Highly Successful Loan Originators, has been a catalyst for you building your company. Obviously, you have a lot of salespeople that work for you and sell your different programs and products and things like that. And regardless of whether somebody's a loan originator or maybe they wholesale real estate or maybe they're a residential or commercial realtor or an investor building a portfolio, I'm sure that there are a number of those habits that would translate into whatever sector of real estate someone's in. So what are some of those 10? Don't have to cover all 10, but what are a couple that really stand out to you to help somebody be successful, be a good salesperson, be a smart investor? What are some of the habits that you think have been a catalyst for you and for the salespeople that you coach?
Right. So, and the thing is, on those 10 habits, and we actually have something called Real Estate University that all of my employees have to take. It's a digital platform. It's over 1,000 hours of content that people can sign up for, and you can see all the links and everything to that. But basically, all of those are psychological 10 habits. Nothing is technical in that.
Right.
So, so it's nothing that you have to go out and learn, because we actually hire new people and train them. We don't hire experienced, seasoned lenders, right? So we actually hire people fresh out of school, and what we're looking for is the psychological attributes. Obviously, one of them is energy. You have to have a lot of energy. The second one is integrity, right? So high levels of integrity, persistence. We're looking for people that they come back. I mean, before we even hire anybody, we're normally interviewing them for 3 to 6 months. Wow. I mean, we exhaust them. Okay, they come back several times to interview. We go through a series of testing. The other one is obviously intellect. We're looking for people that are intelligent. They can, the mathematics, they can, put things together. They have a decent IQ. We actually, there's a test we actually have them take, and it's called the Dark Triad test. And basically,
okay, that's a new one.
Yeah.
The Dark Triad.
I'll send you the link to it. Basically,
please.
we have every employee or manager take it, basically tell you if someone's going to screw you over or not. So one of the biggest things that I will tell you as being a leader and a manager that I wish to God that I would have learned early on is mastering how to read people. So spending a lot of time on the mastery of reading people's psychology. So we're obviously looking for people that have these high levels of integrity. The can-do attitude is critical. Listening skills. If we ask them to do something, how well they listen. How is their attitude under pressure? So these are the main things, the top habits of highly successful lenders, right? And so being able to manage a multi-million-dollar pipeline and being able to churn that and service tens of thousands of people, make millions of dollars. You have to have these traits, and if you don't have them, you have to embody them or learn how to get them. And that's what the book teaches you. Basically, is because I believe that even if you don't have these things, you can adopt these traits and you can bring them into your life, so you can be better. Right. So you can't say because somebody, maybe they were raised a certain way that they're destined to that. They can change if they truly want to make a change.
Right.
So that's really what the book is about. Is hey, this is what it takes if you want to make millions of dollars with real estate. And this is how I did it. And if you embody these habits, then and if you follow this system with Real Estate University, then you could potentially have this outcome as well wherever you live. And that's really what the opportunity is.
That sounds fantastic. Christian, last question. Angelo, last question. When you think about outside of work, right? You mentioned energy. You mentioned several times energy, integrity, these kind of things. What are some things that you do on a personal? You mentioned, meditation. Some of these things that you've mentioned. How important is the way you treat yourself on a personal level to your personal success in business? You obviously treated yourself in not such a great way when you were younger, being significantly overweight. Today, you have lots of energy, you meditate, you spend a lot of time doing these other things. Yeah. Just convey back to our audience a little bit more about what are, again, some of your personal hacks, habits, routines, maybe books, your favorite couple books or podcasts. What are some of these things that have helped you become the best version of yourself? And what are some things you could pass along to our audience to help them become the best version of themselves on a personal level?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things I think that's really important, Josh, is that obviously diet and exercise are probably going to be the two main pillars. I think that, I do believe you are what you eat.
Right.
So I'm
really fuel.
Yeah. So I'm really careful with high sugar, high carbohydrate. I stay away from all of that stuff. Every once in a while, like, July 4th, I'll splurge with the family or we'll go crazy. But, 90% of the time, laying off the sugars and the carbs, staying with, lean proteins, vegetables, salads. Because, when you eat that stuff, you become what that is essentially.
Right.
If you're eating, drinking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sodas, you're eating all these high carbohydrates. Your blood sugar is going to skyrocket, and you become lethargic, and you can't be effective. You can't execute, in my opinion. So obviously, if you're an athlete or you're running a lot, or you're moving around, that could be different. But for a lot of people in business, I don't recommend it. I think eating a lot of clean vegetables, salads, good proper diet is extremely important. The other thing is exercise. I basically do about 20 miles a day of some type of cardio, which is about 50,000 steps. So I'm extremely passionate about making sure that you're getting your body moving. You see, when I'm talking, I want to keep moving. I don't want to sit. I think it's really important that you stay active because it helps the blood to flow, it helps ideas to kind of generate. That's one of the things that Steve Jobs, he always talked about, that a lot of his ideas came when he was walking or moving. And I think it's important that you're constantly moving. It helps things to move around and flow. So exercise is very important. I think it's very bad just to sit all day. So what I do every day when I get up, I do my exercising, my meditation, my hour, my power hour in the morning, like Tony Robbins talks about.
Yeah.
A few minutes of gratitude, getting ready for the day, my focus. And then I'm very, very picky about my diet. I think these are very important things. I mean, I've noticed, for example, if I go eat an ice cream and I try to be an aggressive trader or try to manage things, I can't operate. You know, I make a different decision if you just pay attention to your psychology. If I'm eating a big pizza or if I'm eating a salad, I might say, oh, it's okay. I'll just sign off on that, or just go ahead and do that. It's okay. But it's really not the right thing to do. But my blood sugar is all messed up. Right. So there's little things like that. So I think for anyone out there, getting your diet in check. If you're out of shape, do your best to get into shape. I think it's extremely important. And I can tell you that because I used to weigh 400 pounds, so I'm not picking on it. So, and then, I think that the other thing is, making sure that, once you've created some type of business and that you are stabilized, making sure that your family's taken care of and that they're on track to hit their goals. My son, our goal is to have him be a baseball player. My daughter's to be a dancer. So helping everyone around you to elevate. And so I'm really big about that. And then obviously, finally, is giving back. We have a charity that we give back to people that are less privileged. And so those are my biggest things is every single day that I make sure that I've taken care of myself, I've taken care of my family, my team, and everyone else around that I'm trying to help to get to the next level, right?
That's fantastic. Angelo, listen, it's been a great pleasure having you on the podcast today, getting to know you a little bit better. For anybody that wants to reach out and, again, inquire about a loan, a mortgage, working with you, investing with you, trading ideas, your online university, should they go visit? Is it the official AngeloChristian.com? Is that the best place to go?
Absolutely. Go to official, or you can call us. Like I said, we actually have we're not just like an online email thing. We actually talk to people.
Yeah. So I love companies that answer the phone. The phone is a tool of money.
Yeah, listen, our company, we talk to people. So you can actually come to that's our office right there. You can come to our office and meet with us. Our number is 832-431-6331. We actually want to talk to you. So you can call us there, or you can go online if you want to, or you can text. You can text that number too, guys. If you want to text that number, you can actually text that number too.
Perfect. We'll put it in the show notes. Angelo, it's been great spending some time with you today, learning about your business. Again, if anybody needs anything that we've talked about today, funding, mentorship, reach out to Angelo and his companies. Thanks so much for being on today on Accelerated Investor, Angelo. It's been blessed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Josh here. And do you want to win a free Accelerated Investor t-shirt? All you have to do is give Accelerated Investor, our podcast, Accelerated Investor, a rating and a review on iTunes, okay? Do that now. Then send us a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. What we're gonna do then is every week we're gonna pick our favorite rating and review, and we're gonna send that person a free t-shirt and maybe, again, some other cool, fun stuff as well from Accelerated Investors. So again, don't forget to take a screenshot, leave a rating, review, take a screenshot, send it to us so we know exactly who you are, and then once a week, every week on the podcast, we will announce a new winner. Don't forget to take a screenshot and send it to us so we know exactly who you are. We'll announce a new winner every week.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.